You can do it all within the space of an hour or so. Is it a female? Yes, an abort. If it's a male, which I think is a quite a profoundly anti-feminist position, but I've yet to hear the argument against it, so maybe we'll get this later. So, if it's a male baby, it will live. If it's a female, it will die. Well, at the end, we can discuss. But tolerance and multiculturalism and understanding and education are about you listening to me, and then you can question me later and we can discuss, okay? You know, to put down, to silence someone because you disagree is fascism. And so allow me to finish, and later on we can discuss, okay?
But you've been making fun of science the whole time.
Oh, they're funny. They're funny. Can I speak? No, I'm sorry?
Can you wait till the end then? Just like we'll wait
No. Holding up the sign is an action and an act, and I'm responding to
How about we both respect each other until the end?
Okay, put the sign down.
Why don't you stop making fun of the signs? I mean, we're just standing here right
now. Can you just let the speaker continue, please?
Yes.
Both sides.
Thank you very much. So, they now think up to 80% of all abortions in contemporary China are women. In the United States, what the abortion industry has done, which I think is quite extraordinary, and I tend to think that there are times when Barack Obama knows this and cringes, and it's rather like big tobacco. When big tobacco was exposed as the killer industry it was, it began to target other community groups, in particular blacks and Hispanics. And anyone who's done any reading on big tobacco knows this to be the case. The abortion industry, and it is a big industry with a lot of money, you should look at the annual salary of any abortionist in this country, for example, and even more so in the USA, is they're targeting the black community. And this is actually part of a deeper racist attack, which is some populations have to be controlled. And you know what? It's never the middle-class white population, apparently. And I think that's deeply pernicious. In the third world, we have the great lie. Diane Francis, and she's a friend of mine, but she wrote a piece in the National Post recently, that we have to reduce the world's population. It's never about reducing the population of Belgium or Denmark. It's always about Africa and Asia. Africa is underpopulated, by the way. Africa is underpopulated. The reason there is starvation in Africa is because of the greed of the West. Peru cannot feed its population, but Peru exports fish for cat food for people in North America. So starvation in Africa has nothing to do with overpopulation. It's to do with Western greed. It's to do with us selling arms to dictators, provoking war, and then saying, oh, they're so corrupt and they keep fighting each other. It's not a simplistic position. But what we do is we say you have too many children, so unless you abort, unless you have smaller families, well, cut off third world aid. Under the great President Clinton, who was a man who really didn't understand chastity, humility, and whatever, President Clinton was the first man to directly link third world aid with accepting contraceptive and abortion facilities and equipment. What right did this man have to tell people of a different colour who have been exploited for generations, centuries, have smaller families? But that's what they were being told. We owe you, is how we should approach the third world. We owe you. We have colonized you and taken from you, and we still do. And we tell them, have fewer children, or we won't give you any of your money back. By the way, this is not connected with abortion, but I think we should forgive all third world debt now. So there is a deeply imperialistic, racist, misogynistic approach to the abortion point. Purely scientifically, I really don't care what anyone particularly does to their body, if they want to tattoo, cut hair, grow hair, if they danger someone else, and it's an issue. But someone can do whatever they want. I mean, you have relative autonomy. If you are not hurting someone, then do it. When a second human being comes into the equation, it's a totally different argument. If I really want to punch my hand over and over again, I'm allowed to do that. If I want to punch someone's face over and over again, I can't do it. Someone else is suffering. Someone's right to choose to do whatever they want. I may object to someone being promiscuous. Well, that's my point of view. I don't have any right to stop them. I may say, I think you are treating yourself like a piece of meat. I may say you are devaluing the whole notion of love, but it's my point of view and I have no right to enforce it. When a child's life is being taken, I not only have a right, I have an obligation to say something and to intervene. And through education, an argument trying to change the status quo. We have an obsessive belief in abortion in this country at a time when we have, for example, reduced the funding to autistic children in this province. We refuse to cut a penny to full abortion funding. It is elective surgery. I know many people who are pro-choice who will say, well, yeah, but public funding for elective surgery. Many people who are pro-choice will say, I'm sorry, Michael, I think you're wrong. Abortion is entirely a decision of the woman who is pregnant, nothing to do with anyone else. But I don't think it should be paid for by other people because it is elective. But we will not back down an inch from public funding while simultaneously, for example, saying to parents of autistic children, Down syndrome is another, your funding will be cut. An autonomous human being with a totally distinct DNA, a totally unique genomic character at the point of conception has rights. Human rights are very important. And the most fundamental human right is the right to life. Not the right to housing, it's important. Not the right to health care, it's important. Not the right to speak your mind, it's important. None of these matter if you're not allowed to live. The right to life is the most fundamental human right. It defies logic and intellect to argue any other point of view. So it comes down to, when do you think life begins? This is a rational argument here. When does life begin? Now, if life does begin when a baby leaves the womb, well, there's some problems there. Because many babies are born very early now, and they'll be born earlier and earlier. And when do we argue that it's not really a genuine life? People say, well, you know, a baby that isn't fully developed, you know, I mean, it couldn't live on its own. Well, that's true often. In fact, invariably that's true. But any of you who have children, believe me, a newborn baby can't live on its own. If you leave a newborn, fully formed, perfect baby on its own, it'll be dead within a few hours. There are many people who have disability and handicap, and if you leave them on their own, they'll die. A dear friend of mine, his wife had a heart attack. She's only in her 50s. Thank the Lord she's going to be okay, I think. But he said, Mike, I'm usually away. I'm usually away. I happen to be at home. If I hadn't been there, she would have died. Left alone, she would have died. All sorts of people would die if not given aid. Well, it's chronology. A child has to be a certain age to be a real life. Well, there's no logic to this argument. There is a difference in development. There's a difference in development between me at 51 and some of you at 18, 19, and 20. There's a big difference in development between a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, between a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, and a 15-year-old and a 9-year-old. Are we saying that an older child has more rights to live than a younger child? Are we saying that at 6 months old your life isn't really as significant as that of someone who's 3? That seems to be a very clumsy and emotional argument. If you look at the development of a child, I'll read this if I may. Immediately upon fertilization, cellular development begins. But even before implantation, by the way, the sex of the new life can be determined. At implantation, the new life is composed of hundreds of cells, developed a protective hormone to prevent the mother's body from rejecting it as a foreign tissue. At 17 days, the new life has developed its own blood cells. The placenta is part of the new life, not part of the mother. That's very significant. But 18 days, pulsations of muscle. That's going to be the heart. 19 days, the eyes start to develop. At 20 days, the entire nervous system foundation has been laid down. At 24 days, the heart's quite visible. The pulse is regular, more regular than many people who reach their mid-50s and have lived on junk food, by the way. At 28 days, there are 40 pairs of muscles along the trunk of the new life. Arms and legs are forming. At 30 days, regular blood flow, the vascular system, ears and nasal development begins. 40 days, heart development. The heart's pumping about 20 to 25% of its total capacity. There are many people who are living at that sort of level of heart capacity, and when they're adults, of course. At 42 days, skeleton is complete. At 43 days, brainwave patterns can be recorded. This is evidence, medical evidence, that there is thinking taking place in the brain. At 49 days, the baby has the appearance of a miniature doll, fingers, toes, ears. At 56 days, all the organs are functioning: stomach, liver, kidney, brain. Lines in the palm of the hand. At this stage, any time beyond, it's just refinement of the development. Everything is developed at this stage. 9th and 10th week, the baby's squinting, swallows, tongue goes in and out. 11th and 12th week, arms and legs are moving, sucking its thumb, inhales, exhales, nails appearing. 16 weeks, genital organs, easy to identify, doing this, swimming, kicking, turning somersaults. Still not felt by the mother, by the way, at this stage, even though it is. 18 weeks, vocal cords are working, it can cry. At 20 weeks, hair appears on the head, doesn't always stay. It's only 12 inches at this stage, 1 pound. Essentially no different. Fertilization, 10 weeks, 20 weeks, 30 weeks, a person is a person, no matter how small. I don't like bullying, I don't like